welcome to Holy Culture. My name is Jay Harrington, and today with us is Gifted Hands. Gifted Hands, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I've been coming across your videos a lot lately, and
Yeah.
so I've seen you around. I knew who you were, but last week, like one of your new videos came out, and I was covering it for Holy Culture, and something hit, and
You should know if
I
ever
felt
you decide that you're ready to get out your own way, choose to grow.
different. Like I felt like I got like a kick in the butt that I needed, but like the good kind. Like get out of your way was one of your lyrics, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah, yeah.
get out of your way. And I was like, yeah, Jay, get out of your own way. And I
Choose
was
to
like, who?
grow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, who is this guy? And I was like, will he talk to me? I hope he'll talk to me. So I sent you an IG and I was so excited when you said yes. I was like, all right, cool. So, for those of us who don't know anything about you, tell us who Gifted Hand is and how you came to Christ.
Okay, my name is Gifted Hands. I've really been going to church like my whole life. Like my mom took us to church when we were kids. And when you're a kid and you're going to church, like it seems like you'd have a relationship with God, but I think my personal experiences helped me come to Christ and really give my life to Him. Um, when I was 16 years old, you know, um, I had a really crazy moment where I was suicidal and I was having like depressing thoughts, about like life and how to fit in and everything. And you know, I told God that He was going to have to show me why I'm here. And I really wanted to end my life that night. I said, if you don't show me why, I'm going to end my life tonight. And he actually like showed me that weekend why I was here on Earth. But I had to perform at my God Sister's album release party, and when I performed, everybody stood up. And when everybody stood up, and they saw me at the end, they kept saying, keep going, keep letting God use you, and just everything that they said in those moments was like God was confirming, why He made me the way He made me. You know and just it was at an early age that I was like in church, but it was also like in my teens where I really understood where my relationship with God would be.
Sorry. So I saw in your bio that you had started making music since the age of 12.
Yeah.
So you had it was your home musical and then you just kind of fell into it because it said that you were doing music, but it was your brother's music.
Yeah, it
Tell
was
us about
actually my brother. Like my brother, he introduced me to rap. Like, like you can ask anybody in the house. Like I used to sing songs on the radio all the time when I was a kid. Like I knew all the songs on the radio, but I didn't know that I had a gift of like actually writing and rapping until my older brother came to me one day and he was making beats on the Apple computer. We had Garage Band, and he was making beats up there, and he was like, I wrote this. Can you rap this? And I was like, what? And he was like, just rap this real quick. And so it was like a quick rap. I rapped it, and then I was like, oh, that's cool. So we recorded it on the computer, and from there I just like kind of fell in love with music. Like kind of fell in love with just rapping. We formed a group with my baby brother and we called it Three Deep. And then we was like performing the songs in church. We would like write songs at 2 a.m. and then perform them, administer them at 11 a.m. at the church. It was super, super stressful. Like, but it wasn't until I was 15 when I started writing for myself, like just solely without my brother. And it was because of the depression I was going through, because of the negative thoughts that I was going through. Music was like an outlet for me. And it was a really big thing for me to I guess like feel like I had a reason to live,
Sure.
you know, like a way to express how I felt because I had so much, bottled inside that I didn't know how to let it out until my brother showed me the gift that I had.
And so take us to that moment after you performed you said it was a family member's
Yeah,
party.
God Sisters album release party. Yeah,
Right. So she's having an album release party and then you perform there. Is it just like God was like, okay, this is it. This is the thing that you're gonna do. This is what you're here to do. Or did it
I'm
take you
telling
like
you.
a minute or how did that go?
So in that very moment, like as people are walking up to me and saying what they're saying, they have no idea that a couple of nights before I was ready to end my life. They had no idea. It was just really just, they were there, but God was like, it was me and him, you know, and he was saying, hey, this is why, like, you think that because you don't have hands, you're not able to do anything, that you're like uh non-beneficial to the world, or not important because you can't do what other people are doing. And like all of this is hitting me at the same time, like in these very moments as people are talking to me, because I just cried my eyes out and talking to God and said, hey, you're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to show me why I'm here. And it was that moment, where I heard God very clearly that I didn't have to act out to fit in, you know. I didn't have to be like the world, and it also took some time for me to not act out, because I was still a teen, and I was still like trying to figure out, how to not act out when I'm used to acting out.
That's so hard. It's so
It's
hard because
very hard.
you got teens, you got the hormones, you have, all these things going on, and then you have, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, you got this encounter that you have with God, and it's like super. It's like having an epiphany, like oh my gosh, like wow, this is why I'm alive, and a lot of people, it has taken a lot of people longer to find out why they are here, so I'm very grateful that I went through that at an early age, to understand my purpose, to understand that, I don't have to rap about or make music about the same things that the world is rapping about or making music about. I'm really here to inspire people, to live and not just exist.
That's powerful. That's so powerful because even like for us who have it all, who live in great homes and seem to have it all, we're still kind of like just going about just regular everyday life and not
Yeah,
really taking advantage of every breath really that we have to do something meaningful. So your first single came out in 2017, is that
yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay. And so, how did the writing process take off? Like, so you have this big epiphany when you're in your teens. Did you start producing music then? Did you start writing and doing then? Or
Well,
did you
here's
just
the
kind of
thing.
like,
I did a lot of like, like in school, I rapped, but I probably had like, let's say, between like 3 to 5 raps that I would just rap to different people. So I would like recycle these raps, and like it would be fresh to a new crowd, and like, I'm like, okay, like I've always told people, and I don't even remember what age I started telling people this, but as far back as I can remember, I've always told people that God is my ghostwriter. And when I say that, I mean it because I know how to like write. I know how to rhyme. I know how to, like write on paper, type something up, all that. But the thing is, like only God can make the song or the rap or the poem in a way where it fits my prayer. You know, my prayer for everything that I write is that it's powerful, purposeful, positive, and timeless. And
hmm,
only God can do that. Like I can't do that by myself. Like I can't do that without God, right? And so um at a younger age, like of course I was writing, what I was feeling and everything. And at sometimes like early, like I would cuss in my music and everything, and then, when I found out my purpose that God had me here, I was like, okay, well let me try to get more creative and not, uh doing it in a negative way. And God, I don't know how to explain it, like, but God just gives me lyrics. Like God literally gives me like a message to convey, or some type of hope to, inspire people with in lyrics. I hear the process is I hear a beat and it's gotta be like I don't know, like it has to speak to me. Like how like you hear something and it just clicks, right? Like your favorite song, you hear it and it just clicks. That's what happens. And then I pray. I'm like, Lord, well, if this is something you want me to write to, please help this song be powerful, purposeful, positive, and timeless. And then, it can take, but like longest time period it took for me to write a song was like 18 months, right? And the shortest time, it was like 2 days. And so I've had these differences of time periods of writing a song because all of the songs that God gives me isn't just for today. It's for 10 years from now,
Hmm.
and it's for 50 years from now, and but it also relates to where I currently am and where people currently are around the world. And it's not just for me to be like, oh, I can rap, or oh, I make good music. It's all to like give God glory, because he's my ghostwriter.
I love the vision that you have, and is that like the whole purposeful and positive and timeless? Was that something inspired by God too, or was
It
that you?
has to. It has to be. Like, it's where else does it come? Like, I
I was like, that is a marketing strategy right there. It's brilliant.
because like God saved my life through music. You know, like He really saved my like I was gonna end my life, and He showed me, hey, you're here because like I've given you something. Like they named me Gifted Hands in 2012. My church family did. I didn't know why until years later when God showed me that, hey, even though you don't have physical hands to lift people up, I've given you a gift through music that you can lift people's spirits up with your gifted hands. You know?
Hmm. That is so awesome. So let's talk about the that song that went viral in
Why
2022.
not start?
It's what?
Hey, safe to say I found my rhythm. Don't you dare feel sorry for me, I am not a victim. We got problems and we fix them. It's just for me, music navigates the pain of my system. Beating the odds, I love that. If I ain't learning my lessons, then I mustn't have had enough yet. And Lord knows I can't be upset, cause every single time somebody tries to help, I change the subject. Force myself to go it alone. I'm surprised I haven't broke any bones. Take it easy, they don't even need to see me like this. I hid myself at home and
Me
I
too.
held tight. So why
Why
not start?
why not start? So, okay, so I saw it had like the one YouTube was like 3 million views, and then the other
Yeah,
one was 2 million. And
yeah,
then, and not just here, it worldwide. So,
worldwide,
like, I
yeah.
saw comments coming from Africa and the whole bit. So, tell me how that song came about, and what happened after it started blowing out for you.
It's so it's so awesome to look back on this story because in 2021, um, at the end of the year, I was at Thanksgiving with my family, and we were at my aunt's house celebrating Thanksgiving with all the family. And you stand in a circle, say what you're thankful for, and all that. Um, it got to my turn, and I was like trying to hold back tears because you know meeting up with family at the end of the year sometimes when you're disheartened can be disheartening because you're like you want to have something good to share, and sometimes you don't have something good to share, or you feel like you don't have something to good share. And so I was telling them that, I don't know why God has me here, because at that time I had these keloids on my ears that kept growing, like they were like the size of like golf balls, and they hurt like when I would sleep, like they
Oh no.
pulsate in my sleep, and like my quality of life just didn't feel great at all. And so insurance wouldn't cover it because they considered it cosmetic, and I couldn't, just pay for the surgery, or I didn't know where to go to get the surgery because everywhere I looked up, they would be like, if you get the wrong surgery, they'll grow back or something like that. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just stressful. And like keloids had started growing in 2017. So that it was from 2017 to 2021. And like at that point, I was just like telling my family, I was like, I feel like God has a purpose for all of y'all. I don't know why He has me here. Like I knew, but I don't feel like I know anymore. And you guys are gonna have great lives and all this, and I'm just crying my eyes out, And uh, my cousin uh ended up like comforting me and talking to me, and she was like, there are things that you can do, like you can call people, whatever, and you can see what your options are, And that weekend, I went to her house and I started calling around to like places like that does the surgery for keloids, and I found out how much it cost, and I had to get like a loan from the bank, but I didn't have the income requirements. I had the credit requirements because I never had a job,
Right.
and so I had to get my mom to co-sign, and like all of this happened. This is all leading up to Why Not Start. Like all of this was happening, and then I got approved for the loan. I got the surgery in January of 2022. And all before January of 2022, I kept telling people, if I'm ever able to do this right, like I'm gonna get out here and do this right without like when the keloids are going, I'm gonna do this right. And so as soon as the keloids were gone, like I had already told my cousin, I said, I know God is telling me to be more vulnerable. And so when I got the surgery, I did like two car wraps, like within 2 weeks. And then, I've had listened to a beat that somebody had sent me, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And I won a freestyle challenge. Like the video that has 3 million, he ran a challenge that if you won the rap challenge, you get a free video from him. And
Ah,
so I submitted one of the raps and I won. And I was like, okay, well, instead of doing another car rap in the next 2 weeks, let's do something for this video. And so I was listening to all like the raps on the platform, and I was like, yo, I should do a hype song or whatever. And then like God really was like, no. God, God was like, no. Like he like because I'm telling you, I don't know how to explain it fully, but God is the only one who gives me the lyrics. Like I can't write the song without him. Like I'm telling you. And so he said no, he wouldn't give me any lyrics to that beat at all. Like I couldn't write writer's block,
you may
right?
not.
And so I went back and listened to the other beat that somebody had sent me, and it was like very emotional. It was very slow, and I was like, Lord, I was like, you're gonna have to show me what to say because this is more like, uh. And my cousin was like, well, you did say that you would be more vulnerable. And so I wrote this song of like, if you've ever been in a place where you felt stuck, or you felt like it's too late for you, right? Because that's what I was telling my family. I was like, I don't know why God has me here, and subconsciously, I'm sorry, this is long-winded. Subconsciously, going back to, when I was 16, I had that moment with God. Also, the same year, I read an article that said black men don't live past the age of 25. So subconsciously, all these years while I'm like moving in purpose and trying to use the gift that God has given me, I'm also subconsciously thinking I'm not going to live anyway.
Hmm.
So all the decisions I'm making are kind of like, eh, you know? And so when I got to the point where I got the surgery and everything, like everything just hit at once when he gave me the lyrics for that song. It was like, why not start? It's not too late, where I thought that I didn't have to prepare for a life after 25 because I didn't think that I would make it to 25.
Right.
Why not start, or why not tell myself that it's not too late to, uh, just live, you know? And God gave me this beautiful song where I asked him if he could help me fill in the gap on this rap platform, where I was hearing that there was this one sound and there was this other sound. I was like, Lord, I feel like there's something missing. Could you help me, fill in this gap and help this song be powerful, purposeful, positive, and timeless? And oh my gosh, like God not only filled the gap in on the platform, God filled the gap in people's hearts around the world. Because people messaged me and said, hey, a lot of people in my life have given up on me, or in my life have told me that I'm not going to be able to do this or whatever. And so, like, that song helped them, like, get up. And people told me they started businesses, and, they quit addictions, and, they mended relationships with family members. And so it was like, why not start? You know?
I was looking at the comments and just like where they were coming from. I was like, oh my gosh, literally around the world. It just blew
Around the
me away.
world.
And so, okay, so things start picking up after that. So I'm gonna read some stats just so that if anybody's watching that they can get the picture. Okay, so you have 73,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Yeah.
You have 70,000 YouTube subscribers, and
Yeah.
then you have 336,000 IG followers.
That's
And
beautiful.
so after that going viral moment, what have you been doing consistently to give you those kind of numbers?
I just say, like, I've been consistently posting, right? Consistently praying and consistently posting. I think beyond anything, my faith in God carries me. Like it carries me so far because um just as an entrepreneur, you gotta have, the financial backing, everything that you need to, move forward. But I don't always have the financial backing. You know, my streams of income comes from music streams and like YouTube or whatever. So when numbers are low, so are,
Income stuff.
finances and everything. And I haven't always had the high numbers to have good finances. And so my faith in God has always carried me, from the past 2 years. Because even at a point, I think, why not start with viral in May of 2022 and, slow down in like possibly July or August. And so on it transparently, like, I had up to that point never really lived, and 'cause remember, I thought that I would go
Yeah,
away at 25,
right.
and so when I'm making this money for the first time, I'm like, oh my gosh, restaurant, restaurant,
It's bamboo season.
restaurant. I'm like, I'm eating good. And so, that stuff catches up to you. If you don't pay attention to what you're spending and what you're doing, it definitely catches up to you and everything. And so, just even like over the past year, I've had to face the consequences of my immaturity, of my inability to say, hey, no, you have food in the house. like, like, and so once again, it's been my faith in God, because I've been in my own way in a lot of ways. So like the recent video that you heard of
Mhm.
me saying, you have to choose to grow because, there are times where your immaturity or your ego or your pride can cause you to stumble by yourself because of you. And I had to literally face that reality because, why not start was a really huge opportunity, but I was immature, and I messed it up and I faced the consequences for it.
So was that your biggest obstacle following that was that you needed to grow more, or were there other
Yeah,
things you think?
I think that on the on the outside of like everything that we're talking about right now, yes, I think that uh maturity was like the biggest thing for me, and then uh sidebar, I have a album called Childhood Trauma, and I literally talk about all the things that like I faced, and the first song up there I talk about addiction, and so I've also like been praying to God for deliverance from addiction and everything, and that was a huge thing that I had to deal with over like the past year, and just God has been great in that area, you know?
That's amazing. Praise God. So, um, now that you're past the 25 that you didn't think that you would see, where do you go? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
I see myself being more of the man that God's called me to be than I've ever been. Um, like I know you should be asking the questions, but have you ever felt like at some point you were like kind of shying away from what God called you to do?
Well, I'm lucky that I just recently found my purpose. So
Yeah.
it's taken me like 38 very, very long years to for Jesus to be like, this is the thing, this is the thing.
Yeah,
So
like sometimes I
so
feel
now
like
I'm in my bamboo season.
yeah, sometimes I feel like I've kind of shied away from like, you know, being, like really bold in the position that God wants me to be in. But I think I'll be more bold in that, and just knowing that God has me here to uplift people, you know? And I'll definitely be touring around the world, because people all the sense of why not start. People have been asking me when I'm coming to each country, and
Yeah.
so God willing, with the right financial gain and everything, that I'll be able to tour around the world, and I'm gonna say this on camera. I don't think I've ever said this on camera, but my dream, I don't know if it'll be in the next 5 years, but it's definitely in my future. My dream is to send people on all expenses paid trips and vacations. And it's going to be called Getaway with Gifted.
And is that just anybody? Is that just your
I mean,
family? Like,
I really want to send uh not just exclusively, but I want to send people with disabilities on those trips. Um, because a lot of people with disabilities don't get out the house, But I do want to send anybody, birthday trips or just because trips or whatever, and hopefully, prayerfully, if I can do this in Jesus' name, uh, I'll be able to meet up with each person like on the last day of their trip and have brunch or something, ask how everything's been or something, like make sure they had a good time.
well, that sounds amazing. And I think out of everything that you said, I think that my most favorite thing is that you said, in the next 5 years, I will, what you said, just because of everything that you have been through.
Yeah.
And I know that you want to be more bold, but I would say talking about childhood trauma is very bold and is very
It is.
vulnerable. So, in the last minute that we have, talk to us about your latest project and where people can find your music.
Okay, I released my first album ever this year. It is called Childhood Trauma, and it really takes you through my journey of not just going through, but getting through with God. And the viral song that you hear, one of the ones, is the bonus track on that song to show you that at the end of it all, like at the beginning of it all, really, it's God that we need. And each song up there, I believe, will help someone get through what they're going through. It's not for, you know, it to just be on charts, or it's not just to say I have good music. It's to actually help people. I really pray that this album and each song is powerful, purposeful, positive, and timeless in at least one person's life. That's all I can ask God. And you can find it on all platforms. My name is Gifted Hands. This album is called Childhood Trauma. All of my social media is I'm Gifted Hands, and I'm easy to find, easy to talk to.
This has been amazing and powerful and timeless. And it is good music. It hits you in all kinds of different ways, but in the best way possible. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
blessing us by talking to us. And I hope that all your 5-year goals come true and that you get to take awesome trips with these amazing people.